Am I audible now? Can you hear? Okay. So we were here. Um, these are the types of various types of fluids, or we can use different types of not fluids. These are the different types of materials. Actually, we can use as grout for grouting purposes. Okay, we can either use one, or we can either mix two or three of them at a time, and then we can use depending on the type of achievement, type of strength, then type of purpose required, what purpose is to be served. Depending on that, we can select. So now we move to aspect of grouting. Okay, the principle of grouting is to introduce a substance into rock fissure or into the soil by pumping fluid called grout. So the fluid that we are going to pump inside the subsurface rock is termed as grout, and the process is called as grouting. Okay, down a small diameter tube in a required location. It is essential that a particular grout should penetrate satisfactorily into the permeable material or rock fissures and seal all voids. Before implementing any grouting technique in the field, the basic function it is intended to do should be realized. Okay, so this is the principle of grouting, and it is the fluid material is pumped or pushed inside the subsurface rock with the help of a small diameter tube. Okay, in the figure below it is shown, you can see this is your ground surface, and this is your grout pipe. Okay, the grout pipe, the vertical one is the grout pipe. Then with the help of this grout pipe, the grout pipe is inserted inside the subsurface soil, into the subsurface soil or rock, and then through that pipe the grout material is pumped inside. Okay, and then it serves the purpose. So depending on that, there are three basic functions involved in soil or rock grouting. So what are the three basic functions involved? You see here, first is permeation grouting, which is also termed as penetration. Then compaction grouting, we can also call it as controlled displacement grouting. Then hydrofracturing or uncontrolled displacement. Okay, so these are the three types of basic function of grouting. So now what is permeation or penetration? In this situation, the grout flows freely with minimal effect into the soil voids or rock seams. So the arrow mark is shown here. The first figure, if you see, figure A, permeation grouting, you see with the help of this grout pipe, the grout material is inserted inside the subsurface soil or rock. Wherever you is needed, it is inserted, and these arrow marks that are shown here at the end of the grout pipe, these are the grout material that is flowing into the subsurface soil. Okay, after being pushed from the through the grout pipe, then it flows to the surrounding soil, and it fills up the voids of the surrounding soil. Okay, the voids that are present in the surrounding soil, it fills up the voids up to certain extent. Then again this grout pipe is withdrawn and again it is put into some other place at certain distance from this. Then the process is repeated. Okay, here in permeation process the effect is minimum, the effect is not much, and the grout surface flows freely up to certain distance and it fills up the voids, okay, that are present in the soil. Then next is number 2, compaction or controlled displacement. The number 2 that is in the figure B you can see. In this case, the grout remains more or less intact as a mass and exerts pressure on the soil or rock. So you see in figure B, here the grout material is something different, okay, and it serves the purpose as compaction grouting. Okay, the function is compaction grouting. So what happens here, the grout material is injected or allowed to pass through the grout pipe, same process, just the difference is the material used. Okay, here the grout material does not flow freely as in case of permeation grouting. Okay, in permeation grouting the grout materials it flowed and it filled up the voids, but here what is done, the grout material it forms a compact mass. You see here the arrow marks are shown, it is the grout material, and the circular part you see a line is made like a circular, not circular exactly, something like this, the boundary is marked. So this much is the compacted portion, okay, or intact mass we can say. Okay, a mass like thing is formed, and then this mass it gives pressure to the surrounding soil, the this mass it gives the pressure. Because of the pressure applied by this compact mass, what happens, the soil surrounding this mass it gets compacted, and as a result the voids get diminished, or the voids that are present gets removed. Okay, the pressure, because of the pressure applied by this mass, the voids of the surrounding this mass or around this mass gets diminished and or removed. So this is the difference. I hope you have understood the difference between permeation grouting and compaction grouting. Next, we move to hydraulic fracturing or uncontrolled displacement. In this condition, the grout rapidly penetrates into fractured zone, which is created when the grouting pressure is greater than the tensile strength of the soil or rock being grouted. Here what happens, here the pipe is inserted, same process. Now because of the pressure the grout is inserted, some kind of pressure is created, and because of this pressure what happens, the soil or the rock, generally hydrofracturing is used for rocks. Okay, so the fractures in the rock or the subsurface soil occur. Okay, because of the pressure that is applied, there is a fracture between the rocks. Okay, and then this grout material it goes down the pipe and it fills up these fractures, completely, and provides pressure to the surrounding soil, and the voids gets sealed. Okay, and if sometimes like in Cashan foundation and all, what happened, can't you see the screen, is the screen not visible? No more voices, can you hear me? Somebody is commenting that can't hear the voice. I guess you are having problem with your network then. Mine is okay. Okay, fine. Some kind of foundation, what happens, the fractures occurs, okay. Is a little bit, some little bit fracture is there, suppose. So we can do one thing, that we can put the grout, and this hydrofracturing process, with the help of this pressure, the fracture will continue, and there will the and that fracture will be completely filled by this grout. Okay, so these are the three functions of grouting. Depending on the type of situation, what kind of work is required, what kind of performance is required, we select the different types of grout materials, and then what function it is to be performed, we select that. Okay, so I hope it is clear till this much. Is it clear to all till this much? Okay, fine. Now let us see about groutability. The image is little bit blur, but it is understandable. You can understand. Okay, just see. I don't have other option. In order to obtain a satisfactory performance of a grout, its grain size distribution should be known, because it shall show the relationship between the suspended particles and the void dimension. So now what type of grout you are going to insert, and what is the diameter of the, or the dimension, not diameter, dimension of the void. Okay, you have to see this thing. If the dimension of the void is less and the grain size of the grout material is more, then obviously there will be a problem. There will be a problem of blockage. Okay, the grout material will not be able to pass completely through the grout pipe and reach to the required depth. So we should see that the grain size of the grout material should be less than the void dimension. Void means the voids that are present in the soil. Okay, the dimension should be more, the void dimension should be more than the grain size of the grout material. Okay, so should the latter be larger, then the particle, a plug may form in air opening and ultimately block it. Okay, so you see this, nothing much to explain, just this much you should see, that the void dimension and the grain size has a relationship. Okay, some preliminary work is needed on the location before the actual injection of grout is taken up. Initial washing of the surfaces openings is needed to make them clean and clay free, such that grout may adhere. So some preliminary works are required, like cleaning the site, and we need to see the grout that we are going to inject. Okay, otherwise if we don't clean the site, then the soil particles may also get mixed up with the grouts, and it may create some problems. So best results are obtained when the pumping pressure is not allowed to grow large enough for the particles of soil to be disturbed and removed. To prevent blowout during the grouting pressure is generally limited to 20 kilonewton per meter square. Unless grouting under heavy structure or in other situation where greater confinement exists. So generally for normal structures, the grouting pressure is maintained to 20 kilonewton per meter square. But if it is done for more heavier structure, then this pressure may increase to certain limit. Okay. Further, the quality of a grout must be sufficiently fluid to enter the soil quickly, but at the same time, the movement should not be too fast. So, the material we are using as grout is generally preferable if it is fluid. Okay, but the viscosity of the fluid is to be taken care of. It should not be so light that as soon as we put the fluid in the grout pipe, it reaches the bottom at very faster rate. If it is so, then the voids, all the voids will not be able to get sealed up. Okay, the process should be the slower. The movement of the fluid, the viscosity should be such that the fluid flows but at slower rate. Okay, so that all the voids are sealed. So these are the three factors which decide the effect of rate of injection of a grout. So the factors are viscosity of the grout. I told you the viscosity of the grout is to be taken care of. The fluid should be such that it should not flow very fast. It should not be light and it should not flow very fast. It should be such that it flows. It should not be like that it does not flow at all. It should flow but at slower rate. So viscosity of the ground plays an viscosity of the grout plays an important role. Next is permeability and shear strength of the soil. So these are the various three factors which affect the rate of injection of the grout. So these are written in details little bit, so you go through and if you have any doubt you can ask. So life of the grout, how it depends? It depends on the geological and hydrogeological situation. Okay, the geological situation of the site and the hydrogeological situation is responsible for the life of the grout. So till this much, let us stop here. In next class, we'll discuss about grout materials. What are the various types of grout materials are used? So today we have discussed the introduction on grouting, then the factors that affects the grouting, the three functions of grouting. Okay, so you go through this. If you have any doubt, you can ask. I will share this PDF in WhatsApp. I will give to someone. I will give to your CR. You collect from your CR, and also you can follow the notes in the portal that is given. Okay. So is it clear to all till today's class? Okay, fine. Then I think we can stop here for today. We'll continue in the next class. Thank you, everyone.